Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? It's your boy Ruben, and you know what it is. I can't even say new week, new video. It has been a minute. I miss doing these because I definitely got plenty of thoughts, plenty of concerns, plenty of things I like to talk about. I've been out of commission for a minute, went on a family vacation, popped up with COVID. It seems to be the same kind of deal that happens every year at the end of the year. Apologize for those that may have been waiting for a video. But here it is, right? So definitely this is for Duval, Jacksonville, Jaguars. Plenty of thoughts. It seems like as soon as I stopped doing these videos, we went downhill. And in no way, I'm just joking, obviously. In no way do I think I have anything to do with that. But here are my thoughts, a couple things. I feel like a lot of this time of the year, right? I think is when you separate a lot of pretenders from the contenders, right? And where this year I feel like it's a little unique. I'm not sure what we are, and what I was going to say is about us. What I think is unique about this year is I don't feel like there's a consensus favorite to go to the Super Bowl. Do you guys? Every team in the AFC has a major malfunction. The Bills are fighting for their life to even make the playoffs, might not even make it. Kansas City, as I predicted all season long when they signed Jawan Taylor, is going to have O-line problems. And then on top of that, they don't have a receiver they can trust to catch the ball, and it's been problematic. If I had to say there's a favorite, it's obviously them. They have the pedigree. They always seem to find a way. And as long as Patrick Mahomes is on the field, you're always going to have a shot. Right now, Baltimore, I believe, is leading the AFC. Miami has yet to prove that they can really beat, a contending type of team. And so where does that leave Jacksonville? It had me in a place in the first half of the season where I was like, you know what? For a second, the number one seed was up for grabs. But not only that, there's not a team in the AFC that I fear, right? But the problem with that is that assumes that you're hitting on all cylinders, you're getting hot, you have an identity going into the playoffs. Right now, we are completely stumbling towards the playoffs. Now, the good news is there are 3 games and 3 what I would consider winnable games to kind of get you right in the right mode when the playoffs come around. The bad news is I feel like mentally we're deteriorating, not just as a team, but we're also deteriorating as a fan base. And what I mean by that is a lot of people are upset that Rourke, bad backup quarterback, he was on the practice squad. A lot of people, remember him having his Eli Manning moment in the preseason and made a couple splash plays. Can't talk today. Splash plays. And wanted to see what he's got. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm interested to see what he's got. But I respect CJ Beathard, and I respect him being the number 2 quarterback. And I think a lot of people don't seem to understand how that works. This isn't Madden, right? Nathan Rourke is essentially a rookie in this league. We are 8-6 on a 3-game skid. We probably want to win out to ensure that we take I think 10 wins does it, but you don't have much margin for error. Is the point, right? There's a 3-way tie at 8-6 right now. As long as we tie with the Colts, we got them because we beat them both times. And then we did split with the Texans, but why leave it to that? We control our own destiny, basically. But you'd have to go undefeated. So why do I bring that up? Right? I don't want to plug in a rookie quarterback behind, let's face it, guys, I've been saying it for quite some time. We do not have a good O-line. Okay. Would I say it's the worst O-line? No, I don't, because there's positives to this O-line. I think Chicago's O-line's atrocious. I think the Giants' O-line's been atrocious. I don't think we're on that level of bad. But I don't want to plug a rookie quarterback with no real experience into what is essentially playoff games, right? We don't have time for him to kind of learn certain things, go through any kind of growing pains. What we need is a steadying presence that's been here, done it, understands the players, understands the plays, is not going to, go too crazy trying to make a name for himself. He understands he's a backup. And that's what CJ Beathard presents. And a lot of people are down on him. I don't get it. CJ Beathard is a very good backup, in my opinion. But again, listen to the operative word, backup. I think he's a very good backup. There aren't too many backups I think are better than him. Now, keep in mind, he almost pulled out that Bengals loss that we had. That's not on him. Trevor Lawrence got hurt. He came in and went 12 for 14, 85% completion percentage, 77 yards. Okay. They took like a 50-yard bomb away from us that would have won the game. Now, I know his career record, not great. We have to consider a lot of his he's one of those guys that, he's stuck around the league and he's learned from the best, aka Kyle Shanahan, and now moved on to Doug Peterson. And each year I kind of feel like his completion percentage got better. He threw a lot of picks his first couple of years, but then if you look at 2020 with San Fran, his completion percentage, not great, 63.5. Not necessarily bad, but it's kind of just meh. But what I like about it is 787 yards, 6 touchdowns, 0 picks. Okay. Since his third season, he's only thrown 1 pick. Now, he hasn't played a hell of a lot of games, but every time he's out there, he's been productive. He's been productive for us. And I don't want nobody to jump out the window. One thing I think he does better than even Trevor Lawrence is he's the kind of quarterback that's going to give his playmakers a shot. And what do I mean by that? So Doug Peterson's system is very simple, stupid for quarterbacks. It's a lot of crossers, a lot of quick stuff, because you know what? Like any good coordinator, he understands that the offensive lines are not going to, produce the ample amount of time to really be a down the field kind of scoring team. Now, Trevor Lawrence, where my concern with him is just long term, is I think he's gotten too used to the easy throws, right? And hasn't, I don't see enough driving the ball down the field. And I'm not saying that he can't, but it's a combination of he doesn't have the time to. Plus, I think he's just gotten accustomed to, taking whatever the quick route is, right, immediately, right? I don't think he's 100% reading 1, 2, 3. You know what I mean? Like, I think his keys are relatively simple. What CJ Beathard will do is he'll do the same thing, but if you're one-on-one, right, even if you're not open, he'll give his receiver a chance. Sometimes it does lead to interceptions, but other times it'll lead to huge plays like the Calvin Ridley bomb, right? And, they're just different style quarterbacks. I don't want to quite say that he's a gunslinger, but he'll throw with anticipation. Maybe that's the best thing I can say. I think he throws with anticipation better than Trevor Lawrence is. I don't think he's a better quarterback. I think Trevor Lawrence is awfully gifted, so way more superiorly gifted than CJ Beathard. I just think Beathard provides a different element that I'm not sure certain teams are going to be ready for. We play Tampa Bay. They're not great in the secondary. They can be carved up. I can see a big day for CJ Beathard. Once Christian Kirk went out, and I don't know, it's so many things that could be affecting Trevor, and a lot of people are jumping out the window with the I hate Trevor stuff, and I don't agree with that, even though I was one of the first people to tell you that Trevor has flaws that concern me. And now they're starting to present themselves, and people are starting to understand what I was saying. But I think we're going too far. I heard Trevor was trash just yesterday and had to defend him. That's not true, guys. You guys are kind of jumping out the window. Let's calm down, okay? You got to remember, before I would blame Trevor, I blamed his defense. It was the primary concern of mine outside of the offensive line going into this year. I don't feel like we get any interior push. I think when we were healthy, our coverage was a lot better than I anticipated, but I did expect us to be opportunistic in terms of getting turnovers and things like that. But we were down Tyson Campbell, our best corner. We were down Andre Sisco and Trey Herndon, our best nickel. All 3 guys were out, and I don't think it's a coincidence that all of a sudden teams have been exploding for 30-point games, 300-yard passing games, and things like that. Now, I never thought we were great against the pass, But losing those guys put a lot of pressure on Trevor Lawrence, who is also playing off an injury, right? So he's playing off an injury. The heat is on. He has to keep pace, and he might be pressing a little too much, trying to do a little too much, which is strange for him because he's usually such an even keel guy. But the fumbles or the interceptions bother me to a point, and the only reason I say to a point is because I'm not necessarily sure what's happening on some of these interceptions. The big word on the street is these guys aren't running the right routes. And I don't think there's any way you can know that. Like, they came out and said they're not running the wrong routes. There's just maybe some kind of miscommunication. Maybe they called the play in the huddle. Maybe Trevor, checked the play for a particular receiver on a play. Like, you saw one route that Calvin Ridley against the Browns, he was going deep. It looked like a deep, skinny post, but Trevor ran like a deep through like a deep dig route that ended up being a pick. And then when it happened, he was doing this, right? That usually means that he wanted either for Calvin Ridley to get his eyes on him so that they can, so that he can kind of communicate and throw him to where he wants him to go, or that he wasn't supposed to keep going on the skinny post, that he was supposed to snap it off and come back and come down the stem and catch the ball. We'll never know, but there's clear miscommunication there. So when Christian Kirk went out, which was his safety blanket in the middle of the field, which is usually the tight end, but Christian Kirk kind of played that role for him. They had that chemistry. He just doesn't have any chemistry with Calvin Ridley. I would like to personally see Calvin Ridley run more intermediate routes now that Christian Kirk is out, and see if we can get him a few quick throws. Like, I know we're doing reverses with him, but I'd like to see him eat a little bit in the middle of the field. I honestly think that he came in, and you guys got to understand he's been out of football for a year and a half, 2 years almost, and the game is a little different. He doesn't know these players he's going up against like that. He's being presented a new challenge and opportunity every week. And a lot of y'all don't understand, he's our ex-receiver. He runs all the deep routes. We're not throwing a lot of them. And when Trevor, so here's an example of CJ Beathard throwing with anticipation and allowing his guys to make the play. Calvin Ridley's an ex-receiver, which means he usually plays the boundary. He usually plays outside the hashes for the most part. It's not in the middle of the field, which means it requires him to beat a corner directly that's covering him, right? He's not necessarily playing, to the zone. He's more of beating whoever's in front of him, right? He's great at speed outs, which he catches a lot of them. But you notice he doesn't catch a lot of deep balls. It's because we don't even throw them when it comes to Trevor Lawrence. And a lot of passes that he does drop, wow, you would expect the number one to catch some of these, right? They're not easy catches. Like, they're throwing it. Trevor Lawrence is throwing it in a spot where not only has he gotten the corner beat, but the corner's breathing down his neck on one side and the safety's coming from the front side. And a lot of those are the ones that he's dropping. These aren't like he's wide open and he's just dropping them. Now, again, I do expect my number one to make those catches. But, again, year out of football, year and a half, these are not easy catches to make. There's so many issues, I don't even know where to break it down. And ultimately, I honestly think it's the GM, and I worry about a lot of things that he set up going into the future. What's going on with Josh Allen's contract? What are we going to do with Calvin Ridley? Because whether or not we sign him or not has implications on our draft this year. What's the plan? Why don't we have more interior push on the defense? Why don't we have more depth at the corner? These were problems we knew we had coming in, and they're kind of rearing their head. I expect them to at least go 2-1, make the playoffs, and then we'll revisit kind of how I feel then. But this is a team in need of some healing. All right, it's not over. It's not the time to jump ship. Everybody, calm down. That's all I got for now. I'm gonna be reading the comments. Let me know what you think. There's a lot of problems, so my mind's kind of been all over the place trying to cover everything. Let me know if I missed anything. What are you guys thinking? How y'all feeling? And I'll check you on the next time. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. All right? Peace out.